Welcome back, everyone, to Ein Sof Learning. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. We are continuing our series on Talmud Eser Sefirot. This is episode number 2. We are still at the beginning of Chelek Rishon, Tzimtzum Vekav, which includes 2 concepts, 2 chapters. This first chapter that we're dealing with right now is an explanation on the concept of the Tzimtzum, which is the contraction of the light. And we read the verse from the Arizal, from the Eitz Chaim, as follows. Da. כי טרם שנאצלו הנאצלים ונבראו הנבראים, היה אור עליון פשוט ממילא כל המציאות. You should know that before the emanations were emanated and the creations were created, there was an upper simple light that had filled the entire reality. ולא היה שום מקום פנוי בבחינת אוויר ריקני וחלל. And there was no such thing as an empty place, not an empty space or a void. אלא היה הכל ממילא כל מין אור אין סוף פשוט ההוא. Instead, everything was filled with this simple, boundless light. ולא היה, לא בחינת ראש ולא בחינת סוף. And there was no beginning or end. אלא הכל היה אור אחד, פשוט שווה בהשוואה אחד. Instead, everything was one light, completely even and uniform. והוא הנקרא אור אין סוף. And this is what we call the endless light. This was a description of what existed before what we think of as existence. Whenever we think of existence, we think of the creation. We think of maybe even the spiritual worlds. But we're talking about a time, so to speak, time, in quotation mark, because there is no time in spirituality, that precedes the creation, not just of the physical world, but we're talking about even the spiritual worlds here. Before everything, before heaven, before Genesis, what existed was something called Or Ein Sof, this endless light which had no beginning, no end, no boundaries. And that's what filled the entire reality before existence as we know it. That's the light. We're talking about the light. So in the last video, we explained certain concepts such as the meaning of whenever we say before. That's why I said time it's a metaphor. We're not really referring to a time before the creation because that implies time, but there is no time. So the word before just means the cause, which means the cause of the emanations and the creations was the light. The endless light is the source of creation. It's the source of everything in this world. So we can never connect to the essence of God, but we are always connecting to the light to a certain degree. Depends on your capacity, depends on the size of your vessel. So now we're moving on. Rav Ashlag is describing for us, what does the Ari mean when he says that this endless light had filled the entire reality? Memila kol hametziut. What does that mean? V'lichora temua meod. And this is seemingly very confusing. Halo hamedubar kan hu beterem shenivru ha'olamot. Ve'im ken ezo hametziut yishna kan. He's saying, this is very confusing because we're talking about a time that precedes the creation of all of the worlds. Therefore, what reality can possibly exist here that the light should fill? והעניין הוא כי כל העולמות וכל הנשמות שישנם ועתידים להבראות עם כל מקריהם עד תכלית תיקונם. The thing is that all of the worlds and all of the souls that exist up until the end of their completion, until the end of their tikkun, hinehem kulam kaver klulim be'Ein Sof Baruch Hu. They're already included in the endless. Bekol tifartam ubekol miluam. In their full glory and in their full measure. So in this world, whatever we relate to, we're not seeing the completed or perfected version of what exists. This world needs to be corrected. It's still in the process of correction. Therefore, whenever I see the camera or I see an object, there's a mission that this thing has that it hasn't yet done, which is why it exists in this world. This world that we live in, the physical world, is the world of correction. Hasn't yet been corrected. That's why we believe in a concept of tikkun olam, that the Jewish people were sent to correct the world because it needs correcting. So, therefore, everything that exists in this world is, according to our perception, is actually not true. our perception of reality is not true. We think that our perception is true because, hey, this is the objective world. But no, it's not the objective world, because a world is defined by a level of consciousness. And the level of consciousness that you're on, if you view the world by lack, if you view the world through a lens of selfishness, through a lens of not having, not enough, which is 99.9% of people who are, because they have not yet reached the holiness, the level of elevation, expanded consciousness, to where they will be able to see the truth, which is that really everything is perfect and the light is everywhere and everything is going exactly the way it needs to be going. But if we're not on that level of perception where everything is one, where everything is perfect, because that is the true reality, that's the objective reality. If we're not on that level of consciousness, then we're living in the world of falsehood. That's exactly what the words of the Ari say. We're living in the world of lies. Alma de Shikra. Olam HaSheker. So we need to transcend the limitations of our five senses and whatever mental or physical limitations that we have, and expand our vessel. We have to build our vessel in order to gain a higher perception of the light, which is really the goal of every single person in this world, is to know God. And that's God. The light, which we're talking about, where it's perfect, there's no lack, that's attainable. The light is attainable. The essence is not attainable, but the light is attainable. Alright, so I think that's where we stopped in the last video. So from now on, it's going to be new material. And of course, if you're watching these videos, really give yourself a pat on the back, because these concepts are not easy. But if you're still watching, it means that this wisdom is probably a good fit for you. If the people stopped watching, most likely the wisdom is not for them. That's usually a good way to measure whether or not a person is worthy of learning Kabbalah. Okay, let's continue here. שיש לנו להבחין בית עיקרים בכללות ומציאות שלפנינו. We have two important things that we need to discern in reality before us. There's two things he wants to teach us here. עיקר אחד, the first thing. בבחינת מה שהם קבועים וקיימים באין סוף ברוך הוא בכל שלמותם ותפארתם. There's one mode where everything that exists, all the worlds, all the souls, everything that we see, it's included in the endless. It's included in really God. The endless is God. Ein Sof is the word in Hebrew that Kabbalah ascribes to what God is. God is the endless. No end. He has no limits. And that's the way that we refer to him. We don't believe that God is a man in the sky. That's a made-up idea. So if that's the definition of God, that God is a man in the sky, then Kabbalah and Judaism does not believe in God. But if you view God as the intelligence that is interwoven within every fabric and fiber of everything that exists, both in the physical, both in the emotional, intellectual, all levels, God is that intelligence that is omnipresent. It's everywhere. It's in the walls. It's within you. It's everywhere. And that's why we call it the endless, because there's nothing impossible for him. He's everywhere. There's no limitations. So anyways, one mode of consciousness is understanding that everything is included in God, in their perfection. This is before the Tzimtzum, before the contraction, which is the initial point of the creation of the worlds. So this is before the creation of the worlds. Everything is included in God in their perfected state. That's the first thing he wanted to tell us. Ve'ikar habet, and the second thing, is kemot shehem aruchim umishtalshelim umitchadeshim lefanenu me'achar hatzimtzum ha'alef. Then there's the mode where the worlds are in a sequential order and they reveal themselves in an ordered way after the Tzimtzum. So after the initial point that God created the worlds, which is called Tzimtzum, the contraction of the light, then you're able to discern differences, lacks. The concept of lack was born only after the point of creation, not before. Before the worlds were created, there was no lack. Everything was one big mumbo-jumbo oneness. Everything was one. After the Tzimtzum, the revelation of the differences was born. בחמישה העולמות המכונים Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. So the concept of difference doesn't exist before the creation, but after the Tzimtzum, there's 5 worlds. These are the 5 famous olamot in Kabbalah. Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. The primordial man, which is the highest world, which we know is the highest level of consciousness. That's the absolute oneness with the light. If you want to go to the world of Adam Kadmon, which is the highest world, you need access to the highest level of your soul, which is the highest level of your consciousness, meaning your Yechidah. But before you're able to gain access to your Yechidah, you have a lot of work you need to do to get there, because that's the goal. That's the goal. How do you get to the goal? How do you get to Adam Kadmon? So there's first some levels that we need to attain. Below Adam Kadmon is Atzilut, the world of emanation. On this level, on this world, everything is still one with the light, but there is the revelation of differences. The concept of differences is apparent in the world of emanation. And that's the world that the Jewish souls are derived from. That's the blueprint, that's where the Torah is. That's the essence of the creation, the essence of the creation. Then there's Bria, the world of creation. That's the actual revelation, the sprouting forth, whenever you plant a seed in the ground, that's Adam Kadmon. It grows roots, that's Atzilut. But whenever it starts to grow a stem, and it pops up from the surface, and it grows into a trunk, that's revealed. That's on the surface. That's Bria. The seed and the roots are concealed. Adam Kadmon and Atzilut are concealed. They transcend the creation. They're not able to be sensed within the creation. But you have to access a level of consciousness that transcends the creation if you want to access the world of emanation and Adam Kadmon. So you need access to your Chaya if you want to go to the world of emanation. You need access to your Neshama if you want to go to the world of creation. Then there's Yetzira, that's one level below Bria, the world of formation. That's the world where there's angels, there's things that have form, spiritual entities. Spiritual entities that are not clothed within any bodies, within any physical vessels. They're vessels, but they're not true vessels. A true vessel is a vessel that is physical. So the true vessel is the human. Because human beings have the highest level of desire, called Bechinat Daled. Bechinat Daled is the level of desire that is the greatest level of desire, and that's why it's the recipient of the light of God, the ultimate recipient. All of the other elements in the creation, like animals, like flowers, plants, minerals, even the angels, the spiritual entities, all of the upper worlds, they are only means of transportation for the light to get to its destination. What's its destination? Us. Specifically, through the Jews, through the Jewish people, connecting to the light. Because first the Jewish people need to connect to the light, and then they will funnel it to the entire creation. Both the non-Jews, the animals, the minerals, the plants, the entire universe benefits from the connection of a Jewish person to his soul. When a Jew is connected to his neshama, he's able to funnel light of God and bring blessings for the entire creation. Whenever he's unable to do that, there is a gap, there is a hole, there is a void in the world. Exactly that measure of the potential of that Jew. So take all of the Jewish people together, sum up all of their souls. That's actually the presence of God in this world, because they are the channels. But if they don't have access to their souls, so therefore the channels are clogged. Therefore, take all of the darkness in the world, it is equal. Don't misconstrue this. I'm debating whether or not I should say it, because people will misunderstand. I'm not saying that Jewish people are they're responsible for all of the evil in the world, but they're responsible to bring the light. So all of the darkness that you see in the world is Israel's responsibility to clean up, because it's exactly equivalent to the darkness that we were sent here to fix. So how can I contribute as a Jew to bringing the light? It's through bringing the light into my own vessel first. I have to reveal my soul in my body. Every single Jew needs to do this. That's tikkun. And when enough Jewish people fulfill their individual tikkun, which means connecting their soul to their body, then tikkun olam will be our reality. The entire world will be corrected. But the mission lies in the nation of Israel. Everyone has a different mission. The Jewish people are charged with connecting to God through the central column. Yisrael means Yashar El, straight to God. So we have a mission to connect to the central column, be a channel for the light of God for the rest of the creation. Non-Jews, they also have a mission. Their mission is to uplift the world. The Jew brings the light down, the non-Jew raises the world up. And we meet in the middle, and then there will be peace, and then there will be harmony. But if one person doesn't do their job, then the darkness that remains as a result is the reality. So it's up to us. That's why it's up to us. The fate of the world depends on us fulfilling our tikkun, as an individual. That's why I really like Jordan Peterson. If you guys watch Jordan Peterson, he's very big on bear your responsibility. Every person should bear their responsibility, because the consequence of not doing so is very unfortunate for everybody. Everybody suffers whenever you are not in touch with your purpose, whenever you are not pursuing your meaning, whenever you are not fulfilling the potential and actualizing all of that potential. All right, let's continue. כמו שכתוב הרב, and as the Ari has wrote, אשר אור העליון הנמשך מעצמותו יתברך היה ממילא את כל המציאות. And as the holy Ari has said, that the upper light means or elyon, or light, elyon, upper. The upper light, hanimshach me'atzmuto yitbarach, that is drawn down from the essence, may he be blessed, was filling the entire reality. That's why the Ari, whenever the Ari said that the light filled the entire reality, that's referring, here it says, Dahainu, klalot ha'emsait shebeikar ha'echad. This is referring to the first mode. We said that there's two modes. There's before the contraction, and then there's after the contraction. Before the contraction, everything is included in the Ein Sof, in perfect unity, perfect measure and glory. After the Tzimtzum, so the concept of differences and lack was born. So now we have a better understanding of what the Ari meant whenever he was saying that this light had filled the entire reality before the creation. It's referring to the first mode, when everything was included in Ein Sof in their full measure and glory. מבחינת מה שהם ארוחות וקיימים באין סוף ברוך הוא שמטרם הצמצום. before the worlds were arranged by 5 worlds in ascending order from highest to least. So that is what we heard, that the upper light had filled the entire reality. So this should be a little bit more clear for us who are still here at this point in the video. שהייתה אפשר להוסיף בהם שלימות ותיקון כלשהו. That it would not be possible to add to their completeness by any stretch of the imagination. There's no way to add to the perfection, to the glory, to the revelation that was there before the creation. There's no way to add or improve it by any stretch of the imagination. Only after the Tzimtzum did the concept of lack and a need or desire or fixing become possible. Before, remember, the light is fulfillment. The light doesn't need anything. The light is fulfillment. So the desire that existed within the light to create was one with the light. But as we're going to learn soon, that desire underwent a tzimtzum, a contraction, causing all of the light to part from the desire. It's a very conceptual theory that we're talking here. But it's not theory. This is like science here. We're talking science, but it's from above to below. Science of the physical world is looking at truth from a below to above perspective. Science looks into the world and builds its way up. Kabbalah or Torah is an above to below pursuit of truth. Above to below means that we start with the highest discovery, the highest revelation, which is that everything is one, and we make our way down to bring that wisdom down, and eventually it will merge with the science of below. And this is a prophecy by the Zohar and the Ari and all of the Mekubalim. The Vilna Gaon, all of the Kabbalists say that before the Messiah actually comes, there will be a merge of worldly science and otherworldly wisdom, which means spirituality, and we will see how everything is connected. Everything is connected. And that's as per the scientific theory of everything. The theory of everything, famously termed by Albert Einstein. But they know that everything is one. But at the same time, every person has their designated purpose. So the scientists are here to do their job, the Kabbalists are here to do their job, and the Jewish people have their mission. They have to work on themselves. And the more we work on ourselves, the more this merge takes place. When the Jewish people do teshuvah, they are bringing the Messiah closer by that degree, whatever degree. So, therefore, that means that we are bringing the wisdom down and we are elevating this world at the same time, according to the measure that we do teshuvah. So the destiny, the fate, the state of the world, as much of a big statement this is to make, depends on the Jewish people. The fate of the world depends on the Jewish people doing teshuvah. Now it's going to happen as a necessity. It's been prophesied. It's destined. You cannot delay it longer than you need to. God has a time limit. So sooner or later, this will be the reality. But what's the process that you're going to take to get there? And that is your decision. That is your choice. Whether or not you're going to choose good, choose life, and engage in this wisdom. And if you keep pushing off your pursuit of learning the Torah, which is destined for your soul, which for the Jewish people it's to go as deep as they possibly can in the Torah, then God will bring them back through plan B. Plan B, if a person does not reach the light that is destined for their vessel, is that God will refine the vessel for them. He will purify them without your free will, without your joy, without your cooperation. After all, the Jewish soul belongs to God. So, people who put off this wisdom, it's very unfortunate. It's very sad. If only they would know how beautiful it is. First of all, how beautiful it is. So, just to recap, we learned today that there are two modes of viewing the world. One mode is before the tzimtzum, before the contraction, when everything was included in the endless, in its complete measure and glory. Then there's the second aspect, which is after the tzimtzum, when it is revealed that there is lack, there is difference, there is separation. But remembering that the tzimtzum happened for a reason. The tzimtzum was not an accident. It's not a glitch in the system. It is not a illusion. It is a necessary step in the process of creation. And God, as we're going to see next time, chose to create. He chose to contract himself in order to allow for this space where he can create heaven and earth. So there is no mistakes. There is no glitches. It was a purposeful and intentional contraction which caused the revelation of the world, or the worlds, the various levels of consciousness. Because in Kabbalah, everything is consciousness. It's hard to understand what that means because we relate to this world in a very physical way. But keeping in mind that that is because we are on that level of lower consciousness. If we as individuals were on a higher level of consciousness, we would see and understand the truth about this physicality. That really, it's all an illusion. There's nothing but God. There's nothing but the light. So thank you so much for watching this video. I understand that it's a little bit complicated. Please post the questions in the comment section and I will be happy to reply and interact with you in the comment section. If you have any pressing questions, I can even make an entire video answering your question and put your comment in the beginning of the video. I want to start doing that to make this more interactive. It should be more interactive. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Share it with someone if you believe that they can benefit from it. And I will see you in the next episode.